Hi dear subscribers, most watch me without a subscription, support my channel with a subscription, and I will make you happy with new story. Story 1. After 10 years, I found out my daughter is not mine. After almost 10 years, I found out my daughter is not mine, biologically. First off, I haven't used this throwaway account in 6 years. I am surprised it still is active. Anyway, I got together with my wife about 15 years ago. She came with a pre-made family of a daughter and 2 boys. Then in October of 2012, she got pregnant. We weren't trying to conceive, but weren't actively trying to prevent either. The date of conception seemingly matched up, and a beautiful baby girl was born August of 2013. I have been led to believe until this last Saturday that she was 100% mine, and I never questioned it. But over the weekend I took our youngest son, stepson, but you all know I see him as mine, to a show choir event and met up with an old friend from around the time of my daughter's birth. A friend I met through my wife. This friend and I had a few drinks, and she said she needed to get something off her chest that she's been holding secret for years, and told me everything. I was shocked to say the least. The next day I called and confronted my wife, and initially she denied it, but admitted to having sex with the actual father. I hung up on her, and I had 3 hours to drive home with my son, all the while ignoring her calls. When I got home, she then pulled me aside away from the kids and confessed all. This little girl is my world, and I do not have any intention of turning my back on her. It's not her fault that this happened. But her mother now wants me to try to move past her indiscretion and stay together. Stating what we have built since is strong, and I shouldn't tell my daughter about this, as the real father has no intentions of being a part of her life. I do not think I can forgive her for this. It's too big. I am so angry right now at her and all her friends that knew but kept silent. I can't leave because I don't want her to state that I abandoned my family. I'm afraid that if I do keep this secret from my daughter, that she will one day find out and hate me for it. If I stay, I can't talk to anyone about it. They will be confused and astounded that I stuck around, and it would make me feel like less of a man. I would bottle it up and let it eat me up, and then rage quit my life. Update: my son was at his cousin's house for a sleepover after his event. I went out with my aunt and uncle, and the friend showed up at the pub we went to. When my aunt and uncle went home, I stayed to chat more. Update: January 18th, 2023, I have a DNA test ordered. Wife is in search of alternative residence. She wants couples therapy. I considered shortly until more came to light. I commented a few times below that she had been sending likely bio dad updates with school pictures. Also went to see him 5 years ago and took him to lunch. Update: January 19th, 2023, not much else to update today. Waiting on DNA test to arrive. Bitter house. We'll have more throughout the weekend as kids will be gone, and we can finally have it out with no tiny ears to hear. We'll record audio for everything. Update: January 21st, 23, quick one. Not much to say yet. Actually, spent an evening with welcome company. Test is still en route. I live in a small community with no hospitals that provide DNA testing. Test won't arrive until Wednesday. Hope to have results by Friday. Update 2 weeks later. It's been a while since my last update. I got the results today from the paternity test. 0% paternal probability. Initially, when I found out from supposed friend, I wanted to go nuclear. Ruin lives and the like. But after giving myself time to cool off, I decided that would only hurt the kids. I still see her as my daughter. But now I have much deeper waters to tread, and how/when to talk to her about it, wife, and I will be divorcing peacefully. I won't give up my rights to sue either her or bio dad. Wife did find my last post and spiraled down a rabbit hole reading the comments. Was interesting to see her reactions to the variety of thoughts you guys shared about her. Now it's time to move forward. Story 2. AITA for not wanting to adopt my dying ex-girlfriend's child? I, 31M, met my ex-girlfriend, 29F, on a dating app 7 years ago. She had a son, 6 months at the time. She was with multiple guys and ended up pregnant. Still doesn't know who's the bio father, but it wasn't that much of an issue since she seemed like a great person and we had a lot in common. After a few weeks of chatting and talking online, we went on a first date and had a great time. After that, we just started hanging out whenever she could, and shortly after she introduced me to her son. Few months into our relationship, we moved in together to save money, since both of us were renting at the time. I started helping take care of her child whenever I could, and we really grew fond of each other. He even started calling me Papa, and we just went along with it since my GF didn't mind. Almost 5 years into our relationship, she told me that she wants to break up because I became boring and not an active person like I used to be. We used to go on hikes and travel around the country on weekends, and that I worked too much. It was a rough time after that, and I had a hard time accepting it, although not as hard as having to explain a 5-year-old that he'll no longer be seeing his papa, but I managed to get over it after a few months, found a better job that allowed me to work remotely and had a lot of free time, so I managed to explore a few other countries. Few days ago, I got a call from my ex. She said that she is sick and is in hospital. They removed one of her breasts, but recently they found a tumor in her other breast and will need to have it removed as well. She is scared that she might die if it doesn't work out and asked me if I would be willing to become her son's legal guardian and adopt him, since she has no one else to ask. I live a different lifestyle now, travel a lot and invest in myself, so I told her that I can't do that. She told me that her son misses me and would love to see me, but I said no again, and she started crying and calling me names before cutting the call. I talked to my sister and parents about this, and they told me that it's a fucked up thing to refuse it after all those years spent with them. I feel like trash now. AITA for not wanting to adopt my dying ex-girlfriend's child? Relevant comments. Did you ever try to reach out? As I wrote somewhere earlier, I messaged her on Facebook a month after the breakup, asking about the kiddo, was left unseen and later removed from her friend list. I don't know what else could I do. I took it as a hint to not bother her anymore. Does she have family who can help? She has a mother, as far as I know. Now I don't know if she is alive anymore. Apparently their relationship between them wasn't the best. I know that she had a friend at the time we were together, but again, I don't know if they are friends anymore or if she has someone else now. Does she want you to adopt the kid now or in the event of her death? I'm assuming in case of death. But I don't know much about breast cancer or cancer overall, how serious it is, and the chances of dying. Honestly. Why is dying in quotations? Do you not believe her? Yes. And no. I just don't much about breast cancer, so I'm not sure. It's hard to judge. I will try to reach out to her and see if she wants to meet IRL so I can see her and talk. People criticize him for changing to what she wanted after they broke up. I changed because at the time I didn't have time. I had to go to the office every day, and when I came back, I'd look after the child so she can have some time to rest, go out with her friend or do whatever. Now I work for a different company that allows me to work from home or from whatever place I like. Also, since I don't have anyone else to look after, I have plenty of time to travel and do whatever I want. I just didn't have that much time, and I had to go to the office to work. I only had Sundays free, and we would usually go on walks around the city. After work, I'd look after the kiddo so GF could rest or do whatever she wants. OOP is voted NTA. Update post, January 30th, 2023. Thanks everyone for the responses and messages. Quite a few have asked for an update, so I thought I'd make a quick one. After I made the original post, I've spent a bit thinking. I reached out to her friend, trying to get some info about. She didn't want to say much and told me that I should come over. I ended up going. Ex and her friend were there, kiddo was at school. Honestly, felt completely different than I was expecting to feel. Anyways, she had the other breast removed, quickly found out that it spread out and she was just starting with her therapy. Ex suggested to stay until kid returns. I remember what you guys said, but I just couldn't do it. I stayed, because I just wanted to see. I guess some of you were right about him remembering me, or not. Walks in, says hi, and disappears somewhere, I guess his room? Walks back after a minute and starts staring at me. Papa? Papa, and runs at me. X starts crying out loud, and I tear up, barely holding myself from crying. I don't know if it's because of her crying or because of kiddo remembering. It was a great day. To cut it short, I started visiting her 2 to 3 times a week, but sadly, things were starting to get worse. Seeing her getting weaker and weaker, I decided to go through with the guardianship. Hired a lawyer, did tons of paperwork, interviews, investigation, and finally found the bio dad. X narrowed a list of people, and even without the DNA test, you could see from miles that kiddo was a mini version of one of the guys. Both X's mom and bio dad signed the consent and waiver, but even if they didn't, they probably wouldn't have a chance to make a difference. After 2 months, Judge made his decision and I finally became a legal guardian. Sadly, X passed away, roughly 3 months ago. After which I started the adoption process, that still goes on. Had 2 court hearings so far, and another one will be in 2 weeks. So far, things went well, so hoping for the best. I know that I missed a lot of details, not sure if it would be important, but also due to the character limit, but I will be answering any questions you guys have in the comments below. Relevant comments. How's the kid doing? He is doing great currently, but the first 2 weeks, after his mom passed, were rough, understandably. We go every Sunday to visit the grave and pick flowers for his mom. He keeps a photo album in his room and I put up framed pics around the place, both old and newer ones. I was just about to write it in another reply, but here it is. A friend of my friend is a school psychologist, so she came over a few times and they talked about death and that stuff. But I think that one book, I Will Miss You, or something like that, helped big time. About bio dad. I'm glad that he didn't want him. He drinks, most likely a drug user. Lived at his friend's place. Apparently he didn't know, but he thought that there was a chance 'cause he was doing it raw? With the info I have, he probably didn't give a damn. Probably not, but if he changes his mind now, I don't think that anyone would let him. How did it go with the ex in the last year? Pretty well. It was awkward at first, but we quickly got along. Roughly a year later, editor's note, how long after they broke up did she get sick? Yes. She apologized multiple times, asked for forgiveness, and was very regretful. She wanted to reach out earlier, but was scared. More about OOP being a good dad. I agree with you, he's the best gift ever. Yes, traveling made me happy and all, but I always felt like I was missing something and felt empty. I guess he was that missing part. Thanks everyone for commenting and everything. I'll go through to see if I missed any questions. So there is a chance that the next hearing will probably be the last one, as my lawyer said. Everything so far went great. They might interview my boy once again, and maybe me as well, but hoping for it to get finalized that day. If it's the good news, I'll either edit the post or post it on my profile. We do go on shorter trips through the country. I'm planning to take him to my favorite country after the adoption finalizes. Legally, I would be able to take him outside, but I don't want to risk it because some of the countries would probably give me trouble on the entry.